Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with Me, and I had quite a few people that messaged me after we did the ink dyeing technique, and they said they didn't have any re-inkers, and was there anything else that they could dye their pages with. Now, first off, I've left my screen really big and wide so that you can see everything. You can also see my little clutter around through here. I've kind of pushed it out a little bit. But I wanted to let you guys know, I wanted to show you some different techniques in dyeing papers. Now, this is coffee dyed, but it is coffee dyed with my brush and coffee, nothing else. I didn't spray it on, I didn't dip it, anything. I dyed these a little while ago and they're already drying. But as you can see, it makes a beautiful, beautiful technique. Now when they dry, they'll be a little bit lighter, about like this one. What I do is when we make a pot of coffee and we have a little bit of coffee left, I put it in a fruit jar and I set it in my refrigerator. I don't throw it out. Put it in the fruit jar and set it in my refrigerator. Then, after I get enough, just a little bit, it doesn't take much, then I let it sit 2 or 3 days, because the longer you let coffee sit, the stronger it gets. So I let it sit 2 or 3 days, and then I pull it out and I use it and I brush on and make my coffee dyed papers. So I've got a whole stack of these drying over there. So that's all I do. Now, disclaimer right here, I do drink a very strong coffee. This wouldn't get this dark if you just drink a mild coffee. So I drink black silk, which is a very strong coffee. But, you can make it as dark or as light as you want. But that's how I do my coffee dyed. And I've already used my extra coffee up, or I would show you that. But it's just a plain and simple. If you have any coffee left, pour it in a jar, put it in your refrigerator. Put a lid on it, put it in your refrigerator. Let it sit for 2 or 3 days, and then pull it out and use it with your brush on your papers. Now all this is just using, and these are still drying too because I did these a little bit ago. This is just using watercolor. So you can use watercolor to dye these as well. This is just plain watercolor, and I'm pulling these apart before they actually dry well, but you can see they're still pretty flat. But that was this one right here. It was kind of a purple. This is just the little inexpensive ones. I don't remember. I've had that one for a while. But you don't have to have expensive. This is turned out kind of a lavender color. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want anything dark. So I've got a stack of these drying over there. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get a bag. Where are my paper bags? I'm going to drag my paper bags back out. And these are the ones that I used the other day, as you can see. I use them over and over until they get saturated with some inks, and then I tear them up and make other projects out of them. I'm using plain copy paper. This is just regular copy paper. It's not even the expensive kind. It's just regular. And then I'm going to open this up, and I think I'm going to try to do the brown, and let's just see what the brown turns out like. Now, you need to get quite a bit of water on your brush, and I usually just kind of twist my brush around in there, and then I just start rubbing it on my paper. Now, I didn't wet my watercolors before. You can do that, and they would be a lot easier, but I didn't wet them beforehand. And you need to remember about watercolors. They dry lighter than what you put them on there. So if you want a little bit darker application, then you need to put a little bit darker on here, like that. So that, it's actually darker than what it's showing up in the screen. Then I flip it over, and sometimes I'll go ahead and wet my paper. That makes the watercolor go on a lot easier. So if you've got just some inexpensive watercolors, or if you've got watercolor paint, watercolor in a tube, anything like that, you can use it. It does not have to be inks. You don't need to use anything that has sugar in it. I will tell you that. So if you're using some kind of cola, or something that you have made, make sure that it doesn't have any sugar in it. You can dye with Kool-Aid. I had someone ask me, could you dye papers with Kool-Aid? You can. I just would not get any that has sugar already added to it. Make sure that it doesn't have sugar. The good thing about watercolor is you can mush it around. And I know that's a word because I heard Tim Holtz use it. So mush. You can mush it around. But you can just spread it around like you want. And like I said, as dark or as light as you want. And you're ready to go. Now you can flip them over and do this back side if you want. Sometimes I just leave it because I've saturated it pretty good. And so I don't really need a lot of that color on the back side. A lot of extra color. So, and yes, I just stack mine on top of each other. I don't worry about it. Let's wet our paper first. All of one color, that is. I don't put 2 or 3 different colors stacked up together. And my husband is much happier with me doing this type dyeing than he is coffee. Because he cannot stand, he loves coffee to drink, but he cannot stand the smell that I do when I have a bunch sitting out here in the shop drying. He can't stand it. He's like, that smells awful. If that's what coffee smelled like, I would never drink it. To me, it smells the same, but not to him. So, he didn't mind this kind of dyeing. Now, this is looking very, very light in the camera, but it is a lot darker in person. And then there's something else that you can do if you want. You can do some flicks. And just get some dark areas. I think I flicked that one a little bit too hard. It went all the way over there on my computer. So you can do that. So we'll dye a couple more this color, and then I'm going to change colors. And I'm just wetting down my paper first. And these are just little bitty pads of watercolor. So you know if you've got some bigger ones, it's going to do a lot better than this. This brush is quite large to go inside that, but it still works. And I am going to flip this one over just so that I can make sure that I get a good... And see, I don't mind that where it pulls up like that. I don't mind that at all. Oops. Okay. Now I'm going to wash my brush out. I'm going to close that one up. And then I'm just going to grab another bag out from under. Put it right on top. And these are just paper bags. They're nothing special. Now I've washed my brush out. I have some water over here. And I've just washed that brush out. Oh, as you can see, because it's dripping everywhere. Now I'm going to try a different watercolor. Now these are some watercolor paints that we got in our kit, one of our E-Club kits. We still have about 5 or 6 of these in stock, and I have them on clearance. If you're interested, I will link them below. But let's see. Let's try these are, I think, what are these? I think these are like the iridescent. They're the glossy kind. Let's try gold. See what gold looks like. Just for curiosity. Oops. I don't know if it's... I'm going to have to really pour the water in on this to make it pick it up. Oh, I don't think that's gold. I think that's some type of green. And see, these are harder because they've not been used. In an ideal world, I would wet all of these down and let them sit a little while. And then I would try using them. I didn't do that because I just had an afterthought about grabbing this and using it. Well, that's a little bit light I'm not really interested in that one, so all I'm going to do is just slap another page on top of this one. I'm not going to worry about the colors bleeding together or anything like that. And then I'm going to just kind of wash my brush out a little bit. And I'm going to wet this page. And then I'm going to get some water in my brush and I'm going to wet this little pad right here. Now the little watercolor paints that come in the little pots or come in the little tubes would be ideal for this, because they, you know, you can just squirt some out and just use it straight from your little desk mat or whatever. But this is just giving you an idea of some different things that you can use. That's a pretty color. So grab out your watercolors. I know just about everybody has got a few little watercolors here or there. And then I also heard a lady say the other day that you could also use, she said she had used magic markers before. And actually just put, you know, where magic markers are getting ready to run out, and you just open up that little end and take the tube out. And she said she would just let that soak in alcohol or water, and then she would use that to dye her papers with. I've never tried that, but I had someone in the comments that said that. So if you've ever tried that, leave it in the comments below. That sounds like an interesting thing, because I'm always using pencils and markers and things like that. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull some of this off. I'm going to try without getting too much water on my paper and see what happens. I feel like I've had way too much water on my paper. Now this is the first time I've done it with these colors. I have used the watercolor paint in the tubes before, but never this. See, I think it looks better when you don't wet your paper. It gives it a much prettier color. So just put your water in here in your little tubes or little tubs and do it that way. So I'm just going to get some water and drip it over in my little tub here. That's cute. I like that. And you can keep layering this up and get it as dark as you want, or as light as you want. You don't have to stop just on one layer. When this dries, you can go back over it again if you want to. Isn't that pretty? That's a pretty color. All right, let's try another color. Just gonna grab another paper out from under there. What color do we want to try now? Let's try this deep color right here. That looks very interesting. I'll fill that little tub up with water and let it sit for just a minute. I think I actually have some of the watercolor tubes around here, but I would have to hunt for them, and I don't really want to do that right now. I want to play. Ooh, that's an interesting color. I don't know what color it is, but it's interesting. That's pretty. And like I said, I don't mind the pooling. That to me just makes it look more original. So I don't mind any of the little pooling. That's pretty. I like that. Put more water in here. So if you wet all of your watercolor, whew, I can't say that. So if you wet all of your watercolors down and let them sit for a little while, then you'll be able to put down much more color. Be much prettier. This is kind of an iridescent because when I turn my brush a certain way, I can see the iridescence in there. You can see that little bit of shine in it. So I bet that's going to be pretty when it dries. Pretty, pretty. I think I actually grabbed out 2 papers. And I will show these tomorrow in my video and let you guys see what they look like when they dry. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, I do have 2. That's all right. Not going to worry about it. So that's pretty too. Okay, let's do one more. I know you have watched these over and over again. I just wanted to give you some ideas of some different things that you could use. I have used food coloring, Kool-Aid, of course my inks. I have used a little bit of paint. Somebody asked about acrylic paint. I have used that before, but acrylic paint tends to, unless you water it down a lot, it tends to make your paper really stiff. So just be careful with your acrylic paint. I'm sure you could use it if you watered it down enough, but it's just one of those things that, you know, it has different agents in it, so you just need to water it down a lot in order to be able to use it. But your watercolors are just, to me, about the best because, as you can see, they go on easy. You can keep putting layers on there to get it darker and darker, and it's actually made for paper, so it's going to give you the texture, but you're not going to have to do a lot of extra work to get that texture, if that makes any sense at all. So let's see if I just pour that out on there. Oh, I don't think it'll pour. That's cute. And you know, you could even blend some colors, I think. Let's see. Put a little yellow on here, see if it works. It won't be, this paper will not go to waste, I promise you. I will use it. Oh, that makes a pretty green. You can design your own paper like this. You can make little flowers. I kind of like that. Use different colors. Let's do one more. And I said one more a minute ago, didn't I? Let's do one more. Okay, I'm going to do some orange, and I'm putting all these colors on top of each other. So there's no telling what they're going to turn out to look like, but we're experimenting. We're playing. Like I said, I will still use them regardless. Well, that's very, very, very pale. So let's try a little bit of this back here. I think that's actually gold back there. Oh, that's a darker color. Another thing you can do, if you have old ink pads that have seen a better day and they're kind of dried out, don't throw them away. Don't throw them away. You can add alcohol to them and kind of revive them a little bit, but I'm just going to add some water. I'm going to add water to this. And they were dried up so much that I couldn't stamp with them. But you can color your pages with them. And you can get it as light or as dark as you want, depending on how much ink you put down or how much ink is left in your little ink pad. So I know all of us have some ink pads that we don't really use all the time. I do. I have some that I very seldom use. So this is a good way to use those up and not throw them out. This one's like a multicolor pad that I've had for probably 5 or 6 years and never had a refill for it. So we're going to use it this way. You can see that it puts that little bit of color on there that you want. So grab all of those old ink pads that you have laying around. Don't throw them out. Now the thing about this is it does grab that color real fast. See, like it did there, right there. So if that bothers you, you may need to water it down a lot more than what I am. It doesn't bother me. I'll still use them. But you could just pour some water straight on here instead of, I'm just kind of dipping my brush and then bringing it over like that. But you could pour some water straight in there and then you could get a more even coverage. The even coverage doesn't bother me at all. I like it more uneven. So don't throw those old ink pads that you're not going to use anymore or that you don't have refills for or can't get a refill for. Don't throw those out. Just add a little alcohol or a little water to them and use them up. See how it grabbed right there? But when that dries, it'll smooth out a lot. It'll blend out a whole lot. It's just that I'm putting a lot of water on here so it's kind of soaking through my paper. But like I said, none of that bothers me. I like that uneven look that you get, and you don't know what you're going to get really until it dries. Now it does take quite a bit of water to do this because that ink pad soaks that water up. But that's okay. Just have you a little bottle of water and keep pouring it on there. And you have got some beautiful colors. Look at that. I love that purple. And you can keep on and make it as light or as dark as you want, just like with any other coloring. I just like this no mess. You know, I know other people like to dip them and lay them out and let them dry and all that. I don't. I just like this no mess. This is not, it's not messy. I can do it right at my desk. I don't have to have a lot of room. I lay them under my fan, my ceiling fan. I leave them laying on this bag and put them under my ceiling fan, and then they dry in just no time. If I want them to dry faster, I'll go over and kind of alternate the pages. But usually within an hour, they're nice and dry. Some of them I make a lot lighter and some of them darker. And that right there, that is just because it went through the paper. But that will blend out a lot when it dries. So, it doesn't, like I said, and it doesn't bother me at all anyway. You know, when you do coffee dyeing the old-fashioned way, I call that the old-fashioned way. When you do coffee dyeing the regular way, you get splotches of the coffee and that kind of thing. So this is just, you never know what you're going to get until it completely dries. So that is it's kind of a purple. And now we're going to do this is kind of a greenish, it's got greens and different colors in there. Let me grab another, well, let's see if I have another paper over here. Oh, this, I wanted to show you this. I tried this morning. This is with some metallic watercolors. Isn't that pretty? Let me just show you that real quick. Because in order to do this one, you do it the same way. So you just put your water on there and dye it that way. Let me show you some more of this metallic watercolor. This is beautiful. And this is just some metallic watercolors that I got from Prima many, many years ago. And I used that one on here. So let's just use, I'm going to wash out my brush a little bit. Just because I had that ink on there and I don't want to contaminate my watercolors. Okay, I may have to go get more water. Let me run and get more water. Okay, we have some fresh water. And then I'm just going to go in that same one. Now, like I said, this is where you can wet the inks that you want to use, or the watercolors that you want to use, and go ahead and have them wet so that they'll start turning loose, because you know they're in a cake form. So if you wet them ahead of time, they're going to start turning loose and give you that ink. And this is not even pretty to me until it dries, but when it dries, it's gorgeous. More water. Look at that. Now, you won't see that metallic until that dries. So let's do one more in this color, and then we will go to another color. These are just gorgeous. I'm going to enjoy adding these to my journals. Because you know me, I love sparkle. Anyway. Alright, let's put this down. We'll do the back side and then we'll change colors. See what we get. Very, very pretty. Okay, I'm gonna let these dry. I'm gonna get, let's see if I have another bag. No, let me get another bag. There's one right there. And then we'll bring in some more paper. What color shall we do? Let's do a little bit of this pink right here. Okay. Ooh, that's going to be pretty. That already looks like pearl. I know you can't see that on the screen. It's hard to see. But it looks just like putting down a little pearl. Let me zoom in a little bit. Hold on. Okay, maybe that's better. Let's see if you can see it now. I don't know. You probably still can't see the real effects of it, and you probably won't be able to see it until it completely dries. But it is very pretty. I'm just going to pour that off of there. When these dry, I will show the end results. And this is a very smooth watercolor too. I love Prima watercolors. Well, I can't pick up one piece of paper. You ever have those days when your hands just don't want to do what you want them to do? That's the way mine are today. I think I didn't drink enough water yesterday. And someone had asked, I said that if they don't dry completely flat, then I use my heat press to flatten them out. They asked, could I show that? I can show it, but all I do is just take I have a Prima heat press, or I think that's what they're called. It's one of those old big ones. I have the big one. I don't have any new ones, the little ones. But it's just like a big oversized iron, and I just take that and press them just like you would with an iron. But most of the time mine come out flat enough by me leaving them laying flat. They come out flat enough that I don't have to do that. Every now and then, if I want a sheet if I want it a little bit flatter than what it is, if it has a little bit too many wrinkles in it or something like that, and I'm going to use it for a particular something, then I might do that. But most of the time they're fine. I don't, because I kind of flatten them out when I put my color on there, and then I leave them flat drying. So I usually don't have any problem with it. Now, I think I will be able to link these watercolors below. I'm thinking they have these on Amazon. But if you want to check into these, I'll link those below. Let's see. I've got a few more sheets of paper over here. I think I'll do a different color. What color? Let me grab another bag. So let's do... Let's try some of this yellow right there. Yellow-orange. I don't know what color you'd call that. It almost looks like a gold. Let's try a little bit of that. See what we get. That's the fun of this. It's just trying the different colors to see what it looks like on your paper. Ooh. Picked up some color that time. And just like when you're watercoloring out of these little pads, sometimes you have to just kind of work the pad a little bit. If you haven't let your water sit on there, just have to kind of work that pad a little bit to get that color up. I think that's going to be pretty when it dries. So a little bit more water. That is going to be a pretty color when that dries. Ooh, I like that. Okay. I'm going to do the rest of these sheets, which is not that many. And then that should give you plenty of ideas. Now, I did have someone ask, have I ever dyed any with like strawberries, things like that. I have years ago. To me, it just, I mean, number one, I'd rather eat strawberries as use them to dye paper with. I don't usually use a lot of food because to me, I don't know, and I'm not saying this to be negative, because if you do that, that is fine. I mean, I'm not talking about you or anything, but I just don't waste food like this, you know? Now, if you have like some strawberries that have almost gone bad, or if you have some berries that are not edible, things like that, then, you know, that I probably would do that. But like I said, strawberries and blueberries and all of that, I'd rather eat than use on my paper, because I can always find some kind of ink or something to color up my pages with and not have to use food. But that's to each his own. You know, if you do, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. And it's a little bit more trouble to me to have to, you know, boil your berries and get that color out, or boil your apple peels. Now I have done that. Red apples. I have boiled the red apple peels, you know, and you get that really pretty red color. And I've done that, you know, but I don't know. I just like food, so I like to eat better than I do to use it to color my paper with. So, like I said, I can always find a color of ink or something like that to color my pages and get the colors that I want, rather than using my food up. But I don't have a problem with it if you do. I'm not saying anything bad about it, so please, no hate mail. That is fine if you do that. I don't have a problem with it. I just like doing this. To me, this is relaxing. It's almost like painting. And I don't know, I have a good time with this. When I need a little bit of a break and doing other things, I just grab my paintbrush and my water and get started. Now, I mixed that a little bit. I actually dipped my brush in the wrong one. So I dipped my brush in the one right beside it. So that's a pretty brilliant color. You can, well, I don't know if you can. I can see that metallic in this. It is so pretty. I think I've got 2 more sheets. No, I've got 1 more sheet of paper. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in this yellow one right here, and I'm just going to see what I get out of that yellow. Oh, that's pretty too. And I may not even do the back side of it since it's already sitting in that other. I'll just put a good coat down on the front. That's pretty. I wish you could see the metallic. You will be able to see it when it dries. When it dries, I'm going to show you guys the after effect, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like when it actually dries. That's pretty. Okay. All right, that is what I have done today. I just wanted to show you some different ways that you can use just products that you have in-house to color your pages. Now, one other thing that you can do, and I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to show you that you can do this. You can take just a piece of plastic, just some of your like packaging, something like that. You can take your ink pad. Some people said they didn't have refills, they just had ink pads. You can take your ink pad and just smush it down on there and get some of that ink on here, add a little water to it, and then color your pages like that. I have done that before too, when I was in a tight place and I couldn't get, an ink refill or something, and I wanted a particular color. So you can do that as well. Alright guys, that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to click that little bell if you want to be notified when we put up new videos. Don't forget about the June challenge that's going on right now. I'm giving away an Amazon gift card. So go down and click on that link and read all about our June challenge. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.